Hello, this is Joanie Courtney with EmployBridge, and I'm happy to join you today to give you a quick update on the November jobs report, which was just released on Friday morning. So in this report today, we will focus on some labor market highlights and also talk about where the specific job gains were, what sectors were hiring. A quick overview on what's happening with unemployment rates, and then also some insights just into the trends of what's happening in the workforce and with the labor market. So we will dig right in with some of the labor market highlights of the November jobs report. You know, this is the last report we will receive this year in 2019, also the last report of the decade, which is hard to believe, but we did end the decade on a very good note. The November jobs report added 266,000 jobs for the month of November, and unemployment actually ticked down slightly to 3.5%. And when we see this number, 3.5%, you know, this is a 50-year low of unemployment rates. So it just speaks to a tight labor market, very difficult to find people available for the jobs that are out there today. And it is a very healthy job market. We are in a situation, of course, where there are more jobs than there are unemployed people, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So today we have 5.8 million job seekers. That's how many people are actually on unemployment that say they're out there looking for work. And labor participation has been pretty steady. It's hovering around 63.2%. But that being said, we are at a point for America where we're at a time where we have the most workers ever in the workforce. And that's a number we're paying quite a bit of attention to because there's also upside in those numbers. We think there's an opportunity to get more people back to work and participating in the labor market, which would boost up labor participation and continue to see the amount of workers actually participating in the workforce. So those are numbers we're going to be paying more attention to and certainly talking about in next year's reports. Average hourly earnings continue to tick up on a year-over-year basis. We're up about 3% for the hourly worker. And the average work week was down slightly from 34.5 down to 34.4 hours a week. And that number is something we're paying a little bit more attention to because we do see with the gig economy and people looking for more flexibility that people may not want to work a 40-hour work week. We also see that employers are looking to more flexibility and hiring people that would at least be willing to commit to, 25 or 30 hours on a weekly basis, and they're looking at flexible shifts. So we're paying attention to that indicator as well to see what's happening there. We're going to move on to the job gains and which sectors are actually adding the most jobs. If you look at the 266,000 jobs that were added for the month of November, you can see that we had some incredibly strong growth in the healthcare sector. Healthcare was very strong, but we saw job gains really in all sectors across the board, maybe with the exception of mining. Manufacturing was very strong. We saw 54,000 jobs created in manufacturing. But about 40,000 of those jobs were actually coming back from GM, the General Motors strike, and we saw 40,000 people entering back into the workforce. So that helped boost that number, but it still would have been a strong number regardless. Financial activities, 13,000 jobs. Leisure and hospitality was 45,000. Professional and business service sector was 38,000. Transportation and warehousing was 15, and retail at 2,000. So a lot of job growth in many sectors across the board, and we're certainly paying attention to that manufacturing and construction number, and that is a big part of the economy where we need more jobs, and we also need skilled talent to meet the demand of employers today. So we're paying attention to those numbers as well. Moving on, if we take a look at the unemployment rates, as I mentioned before, the national average is 3.5%, again, a 50-year low. But I always like to look at the different sectors and what unemployment rates are in that sector. So, for example, transportation is lower than the national average. It's at 3% and also down from 3.7 in the prior year. Another really, really difficult area to recruit for is in the financial activities, only 2.1% unemployment. It is almost impossible to find skilled talent that would be available for work. A lot of times you're recruiting them from another job opportunity into a new one. And then lastly, I'll mention in manufacturing, 2.7% unemployment just speaks to the fact that it is so difficult to find the skilled talent in manufacturing. And there are over 500,000 open jobs in manufacturing today. So the difficulty in getting growth in that sector is not only due to trade and tariffs and what's happening with uncertainty in manufacturing, but it also is due to the fact that we're having difficulty finding the skilled talent to meet the demand that is out there today. So I'm going to move on to just some insights, a little bit on trends of the workforce. And I had mentioned earlier that we really have a unique kind of time in our industry. Not only are we at a 50-year low for unemployment, but we are at a time where there are more open jobs than there are available people. And right now we have about 7 million open jobs and 5.8 million unemployed people. So that speaks to this 1.2 million gap between the open jobs and the available talent. And companies are having to be very creative. They need to be very focused on engaging with their current employees to make sure that they are retaining them and that they're doing everything they can to keep them engaged, productive, and make sure they're not leaving to go somewhere else where the grass is greener. We also see companies using temporary labor as an opportunity to meet that gap. We did see this month in November that 5,000 jobs were added in the temporary sector. Again, this is a very good sign of the continued hiring of companies looking to use flexible staffing models. So I did want to offer a few tips, certainly that we want to share with our customers in the market to make sure that they are doing everything they can to keep their current workers engaged and productive, and also think about meeting that demand of those open positions that they have. So number one, super important that employers stay competitive with their pay rates. We are seeing movement in pay rates, and in some areas of the country with hourly jobs, we see increases much more than the national average of 3%. We're seeing increases of up to 15%. That's how competitive certain regional markets are, is that pay is moving quicker on a year-over-year basis. So it's important for customers to look at what they're paying, what is the competitive paying, and EmployBridge and all of our brands can help our customers with this data and analysis to make sure they are paying competitive. We also suggest that employers really look at flexible scheduling, and that can mean a few things, whether it's splitting, shifts for workers to have a little more flexibility, or even giving a temporary worker a couple of flexible hours a month whether it's to go on a doctor's visit or an appointment or something with, maybe their children. That flexibility can go such a long way and retain talent in a job. And it's so important to hold on to those people in today's market that we really want to encourage employers to offer that. And then, of course, we speak about this all the time. Engaging good cultures really do win with keeping their talent. So having a great environment, focusing on your employees, doing things to get them motivated, and even maybe involved in giving back in a community can go a long way with keeping a person tied to the culture. And then flexible staffing models, certainly in using temporaries or consultants when you have a demand and can't find the people on a permanent basis, is really a great solution. So with that, that is kind of the quick update on the November jobs report. The last one that we will do, as I mentioned, of this decade, but we are planning these reports for next year. Would love feedback. If you'd like to reach out to me of how these could be more helpful to you, please do let me know as we look at our schedule for next year. And just want to wish everyone a very happy holiday season and all the best for 2020. Thank you.